Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back in our video here today. And yes, we are talking about the power rankings going into week 12. Of course, at this time of the recording, we've already seen the Steelers-Browns game, so that is not reflected in these power rankings. So just keep that in mind as we proceed forward. I don't know how much that would really change, but either way, Steelers and Browns are technically one game behind on my power rankings. So we're gonna jump right into it. I think I'm going through this list in my head, and I think I really like it. I'm liking how it's all kind of developing throughout the season. So there you go. We're not gonna you can spoil a couple things. There you go. Boom, bada, bing. I don't really care that much about. I guess I could do something like this. I guess I keep on forgetting I can do like just slide it, boom, like that. Either way, going down from 32 to 25, pretty easy. Raiders still bum ass. Titans still pretty damn bad. Panthers, they had a bye, but they still have some type of upside. Patriots, same case here. I think their team actually can be very, very good. Kind of even competing with the Jets and Giants in this kind of realm. So Patriots are actually kind of escaping that bottom three of teams right now. Giants, though, they're kind of possibly going to be replacing the Patriots here soon if Tommy DeVito doesn't work out, so we'll see. Jets and the Aaron Rodgers situation, I mean, they're probably never going to truly be in the bottom tier, but they just do not do well at all. They haven't won games, they haven't produced stats, they haven't looked good. It's just across the board pretty damn bad. Jags, they are just tumbling down the fucking hill. I mean, after getting destroyed by the Lions, they made up so much ground that they are now kind of in this 26 through 32 tier. It's just the Jags have been playing horrible. If Trevor Lawrence doesn't come back, I don't anticipate Mac Jones making that big of a difference. It's pretty damn bad. The Saints, though, I think they're breathing a little bit of life into the next tier above, kind of into the you're kind of trash, but you can at least compete sometimes tier. And I think it's a perfect comparison for the Saints here, especially as we kind of look at the next few teams up on the docket here. The Browns at 24. Again, they're taking away their Steelers game. They've just been pretty damn bad across the board. Jameis, just like Derek Carr, can throw it, and they can compete a little bit. Their defenses are pretty similar to how they play. Their offensive lines are pretty similar to how they play. Browns at 24. Bears, again, they really haven't won. Their offense hasn't really produced anything. Their defense is playing a little bit worse than they did in the beginning of the season. It's just really, really been unfortunate for them. The Falcons, on the other hand, have just been, again, a team that's been tumbling down. They're 6-5, but they have just not looked good in games recently. They didn't look good in the first 2 games of the season. Look good for the next 4. They just haven't looked good since like week 7 or 8, depending. I forgot exactly the week I was kind of looking at, but they haven't looked great since then. Kirk Cousins throws up a decent amount of passes. Bijan Robinson's been good on the ground. I guess Bijan has been one of the few things that's actually been good on this team, but their defense is playing so fucking bad. The Falcons' defense has actually been one of the worst. It started out very good, and it's just fallen down since then. I don't know what's up with the Falcons, but especially when you have teams like the Dolphins and the Cardinals and the Chargers are all kind of in that realm of area. Those teams are doing something impressing, while the Falcons are doing nothing. The Cardinals, again, it's really hard for them to actually move up any, but right now I think they are a team that could easily kind of enter the conversation into the playoffs very, very soon. Right now, they're kind of going through a transitionary period where they can kind of go above more. I don't see them going below the Falcons much at this point, but at this point, the Cardinals kind of have to gear up a little bit more to showcase against some other better teams outside their division. Dolphins, now that we're seeing Tua back, now that we're seeing Devon Achane, now that we're seeing Tyreek Hill come back, that the Dolphins kind of easily bump up more again because they are looking like the Dolphins from before. We're going to see how the cold plays they might be experiencing later in the season impact them, but they are a team that you might want to watch out for, especially if you're in that division. Cowboys, as much as I want to move them down, the Cooper Rush play style that he had this last game kind of gave me some hope. Kind of. I really debated moving the Dolphins up 5. I decided to kind of make that the meeting point at this point in the power rankings. Call me crazy. Call me fucking crazy. I'm hesitating on the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to get in the Falcons tier quite yet. It takes a lot for them to fall down that much because there's a lot of ground that they have made before. But still, 19 still not great, but they're kind of a falling team. Colts, again, I'm gonna kind of bide my time with them. I don't feel great about moving them down. Don't feel great about moving them up above many other teams. They kind of stick around the 18 spot for now. They're just kind of that type of team that does that kind of stuff. So, because Anthony Richardson looked good, the defense looked fine enough. So the Colts to stay at 18 for now, I guess. Just keep them there. Chargers 17. Give me a +3 for them. I mean, Justin Herbert looking like a fucking G out there. The receivers are playing out of their mind. The defense has been playing pretty well. This team is something to be scared of. And 17 may seem like kind of disrespectful, especially for the record right now. There's just a lot of good teams in the top 16. A lot of teams that I feel like the record doesn't reflect everything. Chargers, though, if you want to make the argument that they should be like a top 14, I will not argue, especially when you kind of look at the teams in the 17 through like 15 category, essentially. Or sorry, 16 through 14, we'll say. Anyway, next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks. They are a team, like I said, that will always live in this 15 to 18 range because they just sometimes randomly win against good opponents like the divisional rivals, the 49ers. They won't do well. It's just like they'll keep on swapping between these teams that kind of rise and kind of get lowered. I don't know what it is about the Seahawks right now. I decided to keep them at 16. Chargers, I didn't want to put up 4 times, so like Seahawks stay at 16. Vikings, again, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you got to jump on the Vikings' throat. No, they win. They put up decent stats, but they just haven't produced like they did in the first like 6 weeks of the season. Okay, this is why you don't overreact about a team, because now they're staying about the same. They're not moving a whole lot, because this is roughly how I feel about them right now. They are a 15-tier team. They're not just going to be number 1 and all of a sudden get dropped down to 15 because they're playing like fucking trash right now. That's how power rankings work, guys. Look at who's fucking right. Go fuck yourselves. Anyway, beside my point. Moving to the Bengals now. This is a really tough team to kind of justify being at 14. I'll be honest with you. When you keep on losing, it's really, really bad. Your defense is trash, but this is the top offense in the league. And technically, they still have a playoff chance. 14, maybe a little high. Maybe you could put them at 18 or 17 and be happy. 17 or 18, whatever. But man, I just can't put them. I can't put them below 14 right now. I may be biased. I don't know. I like the Bengals. Their offense is absolutely the best in the league. Possibly even better than the Lions. Honest to God, the Lions is the only other one I would conversate with the Bengals. Maybe the other way around. Maybe the Bengals is the only one I would conversate about being as good as the Lions. Fuck's sake, it's really difficult either way. Commanders, across the board, they're playing pretty all right. They're maintaining a decent amount of playability on defense and offense. Drayden Daniels has been playing a little bit lower than he has been in the beginning of the season. Mostly maybe because that injury is still lingering in him. I'm not too sure. Defense is still playing very, very well, though. Very sneakily well. The run game is still great. Overall, the Commanders are still a pretty good team, and I think I've been winning games pretty well and competing in these games. So give me 13 for them. Rams, they stay around the 12th spot. Their offense, again, is one of those top 5 offenses in the league. Their defense is sneakily good. Their run game is great. Matthew Stafford can still sling the ball. I think they deserve a number 12 placement. And yes, guys, yes. Look at the bias. Look at the Broncos fan putting them up at 11 because they beat a Falcons team by 38. The Broncos have been doing something special. And I do think the Broncos are the top of the team in this tier. I love the Broncos and what they're doing. Their defense is absolutely one of the top 5 defenses in the league. Their offense has been on fire. Now, the big discredit against them is they have been beating teams that are like middling at the time. So like when they beat all the NFC South, most of those teams, aside from the Panthers, were pretty much on a decent streak. They weren't really hot, but they weren't really cold. The Saints were kind of a case there. They kind of beat them early on in their losing streak. I think 4-3, something like that. Or 2-3, whatever, 2-3, whatever it was. And then the Falcons, of course, they're 6-4 going into this game. And then when it came to the Buccaneers, they beat them pretty early on when they still were pretty healthy. So the Broncos were making some beating some teams in the middling areas, but then losing to some teams in really bad fashions like the Ravens in some cases. So they're a really weird team to rank right now, but they are doing some special stuff. And honestly, yeah, this is where you can kind of conversate about, do you think the Chargers are better because they're technically in the standings higher? I would still lean Broncos, putting my bias aside. I just think there's a lot of teams in the conversation from Broncos to Chargers right now. So, say I'm biased all you want. I'll put them at 11 for now. Bucks, again, they are doing something special without their weapons. And now Mike Evans is back. They could be in this top 10 conversation once again if they can get some wins under their belt. Because they made themselves pretty padded early on, showcasing what they can do. And they're still not losing much ground despite all the injuries they've experienced. Give me them at number 10 for now. The Steelers at number 9. It's so difficult to put this team at number 9 because 9 through 1 is just the top tier teams right now. And I'm again putting the Browns Steelers game aside because that was also a freak game anyway. The Steelers are just doing something special. Somebody I saw some podcast online said the Steelers are possibly going to win the Super Bowl. I could honestly see it. The top 9 teams are teams I think could genuinely win the Super Bowl, and it would not surprise me in terms of how good their team has been doing. These are teams that are easily going to be in the playoffs and are going to make some very interesting games. And while I do think there's a top 2 teams in the league right now, I think 9 through 3 is especially in that conversation of pretty damn good to compete with. Either way, though, we now can highlight the top 8 teams. Not much has changed in terms of the top 8 teams themselves, but the ordering has changed quite a bit. The Texans, they're still about there. Again, I have really nothing to say about them. They sometimes play well, sometimes don't play well. Keep them around the spot, boom. 49ers, they are so boom or bust. I have to put them at number 7. Honestly, if they keep again, I keep on saying this every week, they keep this up. If they keep losing, they're not going to be in the top 10 much longer. I mean, they have a great team. They win games pretty well, but then they just lose these random ass games, and it just fucking hurts. It hurts them so much, and I just don't know what to do with them. So I still think they're a top 7 roster. If you don't agree with them being at number 7, I kind of agree. I kind of am okay with you at this point knocking them out. I'm holding off for one more week. Eagles number 6. I mean, they just genuinely, again, this is like the Steelers. It feels so weird not putting them in top a more impressive team, because across the board they are doing well. Again, I don't like them. I don't think Jalen Hurts is very good, but I can't deny that they are doing something special with that defense, doing something special with that offense, especially with Saquon Barkley. They're basically using Jalen Hurts and the tush push and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith all as a secondary piece to Saquon Barkley, who's running this offense with a great offensive line. They are number 6, though. The Chiefs, I know. I finally have an excuse to put them at number 5 now. It feels good. They haven't just won every single fucking game. They're 9-1. They got beat by the Bills, so the Bills are higher than them. Boom, bada, bing, because the Bills are 9-2. Bills, as the Chiefs lose one more game this season, the Bills could have that fucking tiebreaker against them and be fucking solid. I hope it happens, because I hope the Chiefs have to play every single game in that playoff. Either way, Chiefs number 5. Again, they're still 9-1. They still won games. Even though they don't put up impressive stats, I still think they're at least a top 5 team. Now, obviously, when we talk about these top 4 teams, this is why they're above the Chiefs, is essentially kind of the margin. The Bills, they beat the Chiefs. Why are they number 4 and not number 3, 2, 1? They've had some pretty bad losses and not great showings in some of their wins, kind of similar to the Chiefs in some ways, but they are still more explosive, and I think they have a higher ceiling than the Chiefs do currently. The Packers at number 3, probably the most controversial one. However, I will stand by. I have been a Packers stan this season for this team. This team, again, I said this a lot this video, they are doing something special. Josh Jacobs has been a monster. Jordan Love, while he hasn't been a ceiling game, he has been playing well and doing well. I think he's been playing better than he did last season, and everybody was impressed by him last season. But now people are not as impressed with him this season because they expect more. He's playing a tiny bit more better. Injuries kind of hurt him, a little bit of rough points. He is doing something good with this offense, who, again, this offense is not filled with a bunch of number 1 receivers. A bunch of these guys are number 2 kind of guys. Even Jaden Reed, I think, is at least a bottom 30, kind of a bottom, like, half number 1 receiver, if not like a bottom 10 or bottom 5 number 1 receiver on a team. This team is doing something special. The defense, if you have not been looking and seeing how this defense has been playing, they've been doing great. The only game, so they're 7-3, I believe. They have won games by multiple different scores. They have only lost one game by more than one score, and that was against the Lions by 10 points. That's a division rival against one of the best offenses in the league. And they limited the Lions to 24 points, which a lot of teams haven't done this season. I fully give credit to the Packers here. They deserved the spot at number 3 because they were a good roster coming into this season. They're a good roster now. They're playing great games. I'm keeping them at number 3. Is it a little bit controversial to put them above the Bills? Sure, but they deserve above the Chiefs and the Eagles and the 49ers and the Texans. I think the Eagles had a slow start. I think the 49ers obviously are doing bad now. I think the Chiefs are not playing very well. And I think the Bills, again, have had pretty bad lows, while the Packers have remained consistently good. They have kept themselves in the conversation for me, and that's why they're at number 3. Number 2 and 1, I for temporarily put the Ravens at number 1 because they played really well, but then when you lose to the Steelers like that, it's pretty hard to say your offense is really good, and your defense didn't play the best, didn't play bad. They didn't play the best in the divisional game, so I move you down 1. You still showed more times than not that you're a good team, but Lions, I mean, they're just on a whole nother level at this point. They are just doing something so good. I mean, I know you beat the Jags by like 40-something, but like, you deserve that type of spot. You deserve to be number 1 team in the league right now. So, again, Lions over Ravens, Ravens over Packs, Packs over Bills. You can kind of debate. I'll give you that conversation. Bills over Chiefs, Chiefs over Eagles, Eagles over 49ers, 49ers over Texans, Texans over Steelers. Kind of a conversation as well if you want to have that, but I still think Texans. Steelers over Bucks, Bucks over Broncos, which again is a little weird because the Broncos beat the Bucks. but they're still in the same conversation. I think the Bucks have had higher highs. Broncos over Rams, Rams over Commanders, Commanders over Bengals, Bengals over Vikings, Vikings over Seahawks, Seahawks above Chargers. Again, a conversation to have, but I think right now I'm going to lean Seahawks just a very, very, very slightly amount. Chargers over Colts, Colts over Cowboys, Cowboys over Dolphins. Again, another conversation to have, but I think they're pretty even at this point. One's trending down, one's trending up. Dolphins over Cardinals, Cardinals over Falcons, Falcons over Bears, Bears over Browns, Browns over Saints. Yeah. Saints over Jags, Jags over Jets, Jets over Giants, Giants over Patriots, Patriots over Panthers, Panthers over Titans, and Titans over Raiders. This is a damn good list with a couple back and forth you can kind of swap. The biggest change people could probably make is probably the 49ers and Texans. But either way, and Steelers, that kind of 7 through 9 spot, you can kind of debate a lot more. Even 10, like 7 through 11, yeah, whatever. You know, you could debate about a few in the middle there. But I think this is a roughly good ordering, and I'm sticking to my guns here. I hope you all did enjoy the video.